Ahead on American Sunrise, justifiable force or murder. ICE agents are under fire and Minneapolis is on edge after a woman is shot and killed by an ICE agent. We'll be discussing the situation throughout the show. Plus, we'll have Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn join us with her ideas and thoughts on what happened. The art of the oil deal. The Trump administration says Venezuela will send the U.S. between 30 and 50 million barrels of oil. Plus, another tanker has been seized. We've got details on both angles of this developing story. And then later, could another government shutdown be on the horizon? Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer isn't ruling it out. His comments and more on American Sunrise, which starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody in Washington, D.C., and Terrence Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, gentlemen. What a day. You never know what 24 hours is going to bring in terms of breaking news, and it's certainly definitely brought some breaking news to us yesterday afternoon.
Absolutely. Dr. Gina, David, good morning. Dr. Gina alluding to that ICE agent in Minneapolis having shot and killed the driver of a car. The ICE agent saying that the driver was trying to ram him. You see it all playing out here. The agents approaching the woman and you see her pull off. And then shortly after this, you see the shots and hear the shots being fired. And the woman eventually crashes into another car down the street. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem calling this domestic terrorism. Let's bring back in David and Dr. Gina to discuss. There's so much to unpack here. David, where would you like to start?
Well, maybe we start with this. Look, when federal immigration officials pull you over, here's a pro tip. Don't try to kill them and ram them with your car. Maybe we should start with that. Look, no one wants to see anyone killed in any of this, whether it be an ICE officer or a protester or whoever this person was exactly in the car, clearly a protester of some sort. We don't want to see that. But having said that, there's that to begin with. Also, let's be clear. I mean, Democrats are probably getting the plaque ready for this woman. Let's be honest here. They're going to make her out to be a martyr here. There's no doubt about it. And look, assaults against ICE officers have been up over 1,000% since President Trump took over. And in terms of vehicle attacks, it's over 50% increase since the Biden administration. Over 100 vehicle attacks only in 1 year. 100 vehicle attacks against ICE agents. So look, when you have Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett calling ICE slave patrols, when you have Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, calling ICE a modern day Gestapo, and I can just go on and on and on with these Democrats, what do you expect from people that are going to ram ICE agents right into the ground, Gina?
Yeah, they are inciting on the daily. Democrat politicians, the blood in this incident is on your hands. Thank God that ICE agent is okay. This ICE agent was already hit and dragged underneath a vehicle in another incident less than a year ago. He resorted to his training. I think he did what he had been trained to do. A vehicle is a weapon that had already been used against him and dragged him, hit him and dragged him underneath. He did exactly what he was supposed to do by the looks of everything. Of course, there'll be a full investigation and we can't try this in the court of television. But what we can do is know what it is we saw and know what it is that we are dealing with statistically, and know what it is, Terrence, that Democrat politicians are inciting every single day. This needs to stop. They have got to put a stop to this. The Democrats have got to stop inciting this sort of action against our ICE agents. No ICE agents, Terrence, should ever have to deal with this again.
Agreed. Case closed in the court of television for the time being. We'll, of course, get back and reconvene a little bit later. You see what I did there, David? I think you got it. Dr. Gina, you're looking at me like, what's he talking about? I liked your court of television. All right, Dr. Gina, would you give us our Bible verse? I think this is a great setup because we do want to pray not only for our ICE agents, but also for the public in general, good American people who are doing the right thing on a daily basis.
That's right. All right. Today's Bible verse is from Romans 15, Verse 13, now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. A federal immigration agent, as we mentioned, fatally shot a driver in Minneapolis during a massive immigration enforcement operation with massive resistance. Authorities say the agent fired after the driver allegedly attempted to run over officers and ended up killing the person at the scene. The incident took place as the massive federal immigration operation in the city is underway, involving thousands of agents, and has sparked protests and condemnation from local officials. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem calling this an act of domestic terror.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. When this appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family and for loved ones.
Let's bring in Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, your take.
This is such a tragic situation. And as you all mentioned earlier, the attacks on ICE agents are up over 1,300%. Death threats against the agents and their families, 8,000% increase. This is what they're facing every single day for enforcing the rule of law and providing protections for the American people. They've been working in Minneapolis to remove criminals, to remove individuals that have orders of deportation, to get in behind this fraud scam that has been taking place. And everyone has heard about this escalated fraud in Minnesota. So, yes, indeed, ICE is on the ground. They are doing their job. Loss of life is tragic. The situation is tragic. Secretary Noem was very explicit yesterday that the ICE agent responded as he had been trained to respond, and making that assessment that not only his life, but the life of his fellow workers were in danger.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Senator, let's move on. There's so much news going on. Obviously, Venezuela, the Trump administration announcing that it's going to take in between 30 and 50 million barrels of Venezuelan oil. President Trump has said he will control the money from the oil to make sure it benefits the American people and the Venezuelan people as well. Here's what Secretary of State Marco Rubio had to say about the oil in the process. Take a look.
Step one is the stabilization of the country. We don't want it descending into chaos. Part of that stabilization, and the reason why we understand and believe that we have the strongest leverage possible, is our quarantine. As you've seen today, 2 more ships were seized. We are in the midst right now and, in fact, about to execute on a deal to take all the oil. They have oil that is stuck in Venezuela. They can't move it because of our quarantine and because it's sanctioned. We are going to take between 30 and 50 million barrels of oil. We're going to sell it in the marketplace at market rates, not at the discounts Venezuela was getting. That money will then be handled in such a way that we will control how it is dispersed in a way that benefits the Venezuelan people, not corruption, not the regime. So we have a lot of leverage to move on the stabilization front. The second second phase will be a phase that we call recovery, and that is ensuring that American, Western, and other companies have access to the Venezuelan market in a way that's fair. Also, at the same time, begin to create the process of reconciliation nationally within Venezuela so that the opposition forces can be amnestied and released and from prisons or brought back to the country and begin to rebuild civil society. And then the third phase, of course, will be one of transition. Some of this will overlap.
By the way, I think Rubio has been spectacular, not just on Venezuela, but on so many different issues. But I'm curious about boots on the ground. Is it a concern of yours that this could start to spiral? We already have boots, let's be honest, on the sea, if you will, over there in the ocean. What about on the ground?
And we have been told there are no boots on the ground. This was an operation in Venezuela that was conducted through law enforcement, the protection for law enforcement and for the fugitives, Maduro and his wife, was provided by the U.S. military. And there are no boots on the ground in Venezuela. We had a great briefing yesterday. Secretary Rubio laid out the stabilization, recovery, and transition plans that they have in place. We have heard from Venezuelans all across the country and their conversations with relatives back in Venezuela. They are all grateful that Maduro has been removed. They know that Maduro was the head of the cartel and he was a thug, an evil man. And they're hopeful that him being brought to justice, facing justice in the United States, will help with the stabilization and the transition. Now, when it comes to the oil, yes, making certain that the U.S. carries that oil to market and they sell that oil on the market, and that you have the Venezuelan people and the services that are necessary for their daily life, that those are going to be covered from that custodial fund. That is going to be an important part of getting Venezuela back on the right track.
We could unwrap a lot more about the Venezuela story, but I want to get to something that you're doing, Senator. Apparently, you're set to introduce a bill, I'm understanding, that's aimed at codifying President Trump's national standards for AI. Can you lay out some of the details for us? Can you chat GPT us in real time?
Yes, absolutely, Terrence. And it is the Trump America AI Act, and this is the framework. It basically would codify the president's executive order. It would provide protections for kids, creators and innovators, our conservatives, and consumers. And we know AI is biased against conservatives, so putting those protections in are important. We have the Kids Online Safety Act, which would put that duty of care in place on these social media platforms. We're all hearing the horror stories of the sextortion that is taking place on young boys. And much of it is happening through these AI chatbots, being encouraged to commit suicide, things of that nature. And the social media platforms that are encouraging children to eating disorders, suicide. This virtual space is where kids are meeting drug dealers, pedophiles, predators, groomers, and many times the first encounter they have with those individuals is in the virtual space. We want to make certain we win the AI race and that we beat China. And as we know, with every industrial sector, when you have light touch regulation and everyone understands the ground rules, then that is when innovation takes place.
Senator Blackburn, looking out for our children and our conservative constitutional values. We thank you.
Yep.
Happy
Thanks
to join.
so much, Senator Blackburn.
To you as well. All right, everybody, coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the RAV newsroom with T-Bates. Also later, we're going to have more coverage of the ICE agents and the attack in Minnesota that has the entire nation on edge. Stay tuned for more. American Sunrise is back in 2 minutes.